What's up, everybody? My name is mchamp or mchamp plays, and welcome to a speedrun tutorial. It's been a while since I've done one of these, but this time it's going to be of Link to the Past Randomizer. So there's already quite a bit of resources out there available, but if you've been checking out some of my recent streams lately, I've came back into Link to the Past Randomizer for about the past year as of right now. And I've been having a lot more fun with it than I used to many years back when I used to start playing it. But now I'm starting to be more active with Randomizer, and I want to actually keep doing it because randomizers are really fun to do when I am not feeling up for the grind in speedrun attempts of not just Link to the Past, but for any speedrun. It's also really good for me to just chill with the chat. So if you want to chill with me and I'm not super focused on my runs, then the Randomizer streams are definitely really good. So I've been asked a couple of times when I start streaming randomizers is how do I get into Link to the Past Randomizer? It looks really fun. The main resource that you want to go to is Link to the Past Randomizer website, which I will link out in the description. And so this is the homepage of the website. The first thing you want to do is you want to go ahead and click on Start Playing, and then it gives you a bit of instructions. There's a Randomizer Discord if you want to interact with the community itself. It's a really large community, as the randomizer itself is really popular. So it's a very accessible randomizer to get into with lots of different resources and also a lot of different types of settings. Now, in order for the randomizer to work, you want to first get the Link to the Past Japanese 1.0 ROM. I'm not going to show you how to get that. You'll have to look it up yourself on how to get it. But once you get the ROM, then you want to go ahead and go over to Generate Randomized Game, which you can click over here, or you can go to Generate Randomized Game. I believe this is where you have to upload the ROM onto the website in order to create the randomizer, which I've already done that. And once you've done that, then you don't need to do it every single time. Now, when you go onto this part of the website, these will be the default settings. Now, what's nice about this randomizer is there are a lot of different types of versions of randomizer. So you can customize it, or there's a couple different presets here. But if you want your own version of randomizer, then you go ahead and click on custom. Glitches required none, but there are minor glitches in there which are not required in order to complete a regular seed. There are some seeds where glitches are required, but for this tutorial I will not be showing any glitches. I'll be showing off minor glitches, ones that I know how to do from different speedruns. Item placements, you can do basic or advanced item placement. Advanced item placement is a little bit more complex, where sometimes you have to go through dark rooms without a lamp, and you can find a fire rod or a lamp in there, which I would not recommend if you are just getting into randomizer, because that's really hard. You'll definitely have a really hard time with the dark rooms if you don't know the dark rooms very well. Dungeon item shuffle basically means that their maps, compasses, and keys can also be in other places outside of their respective dungeons, which adds more complication to the exploration. Accessibility, we're going to leave on 100% inventory. This randomizes all of the items in any location. That's the whole purpose of the randomizer, where the purpose is to basically find all the items that you need in order to get all the items to complete the game. If you go ahead and click on goal, the default is beat Ganon, of course. You can mess around with all the other ones, but for this one we're going to do defeat Ganon. And then to open Ganon and having Ganon vulnerable, the crystals are basically like the Dark World dungeons. If you played the regular Link to the Past, then you know that you get a crystal from each of the Dark World dungeons, and you know that 7 is the maximum amount of crystals that you need in order to enter the final dungeon, which is Ganon's Tower. We're going to leave both of these on 7 crystals, as that's the default state. World state, open, standard, inverted, or retro. The most common randomizers are either open or standard. Open is the whole world is open to you right off the bat. Standard mode is having Castle of Hyrule, as if it's the beginning of the game, required to do first thing, and in order to open up the overworld. So for this randomizer, I'm going to put standard. I personally just like standard mode. I like to keep the traditional style of the game, while having fun with the randomizer. That's just my preference. Boss shuffle. So this randomizes different bosses in different dungeons. We're gonna go ahead and leave that alone. And same with enemies. Random enemies can be in random dungeons. So sometimes you'll be seeing enemies that shouldn't even be in said dungeon in another dungeon. So sometimes that can be really funny. Hints are basically like if you talk to certain NPCs or you go to the telepathic Sahasrara tiles, then they'll tell you what items can potentially be in what location and what locations you don't need to go to in the run, which is good for beginners. And then the difficulty options here. We're going to keep swords randomized. In very old randomizer versions, the sword was always your first weapon, but we're going to keep this as randomized. So that way we actually have to put in effort in order to find an actual weapon. And then all this other stuff here we're going to go ahead and leave as normal as well. Enemy damage and enemy health will be, you can randomize them as well, but we're going to go ahead and keep them as default. And then depending on if you're racing or you are just doing a normal seed, if you generate a race ROM, then the spoiler log will not be available, which makes sense because if you're racing, you don't want to accuse another racer of using the spoiler log, because obviously using the spoiler log is cheating. So we're going to go ahead and generate a normal ROM. And this will confirm all your settings, as well as a link to the randomizer in case you want to share this with other people at the very end. Over here is the spoiler log where you can look up different items and where their locations are at. But most of the time you don't want to look at the spoiler log because that defeats the purpose of it being a randomized game. There are some tournaments that do allow the spoiler log, where pretty much you have to study the spoiler log to know where the items that you need to get are at, and then route around that, which can be fun in its own way. But most of the time, most people will go into a seed blind, and when you're racing other people, the idea is, like especially when you're in a voice call with other racers, you definitely don't want to be talking about what you're doing or what items that you have. That'll pretty much give away to your opponents as to, like, you know, where some things could be at, which will defeat the purpose of the blind aspect of a randomizer. So when you're racing, you want to make sure you're careful about that. So you can save the spoiler log if you want, and then you can change the speed of the beeping sound if you're on low HP. I like to have it at half speed. Now, the randomizer also has a bunch of different sprites that you can play as. The different sprites don't do anything in terms of gameplay. It is all preference. However, some sprites make some tricks not favorable, especially the pixel precise tricks that this game has. They're not favorable with some of these sprites, as some of these sprites are either smaller, taller, or different pixel proportions than Link from the original game. Now, menu speed, you can adjust the menu speed if you want. You can also enable quick swapping, which means you can use L or R to swap items without having to pause the game. I don't personally prefer it, just because I'm used to the pausing in the regular game. And then the heart color, you can change the color of the hearts, which doesn't do anything really. It's just an aesthetic thing, so I'm gonna leave it at random just because I prefer it. I'm gonna go and turn on background music for the purposes of this video. If you watch my streams, then you know that I have my own background music, which is why I leave the background music off. And then once you're good, then you can go ahead and download the ROM. Now, the other addition that you might see other randomizer streamers have is what's known as a tracker. So this is the tracker that I use. This is called Emo Tracker. This was developed by a Link to the Past speedrunner named Emo Saro. So there are a bunch of other trackers that you can use as well. And so what a tracker does is, for the viewing perspective, it lets viewers know what items that you have and what your current progression is. It's not automatic. You can make it automatic if you're playing on emulator by using like different coatings on the emulator itself. But otherwise, it's all manual. So let's say if I got the bow, then all I gotta do is just click on it. And then additionally, whenever you click on an item, as you can see, there's actually a map up here and it actually lets you know what locations are accessible. So like all the green ones means you can access said locations. I believe the orange squares mean that you can't do anything in those locations at all. And then yellow means you can do some of the checks, but not all of them. The other thing about the tracker is while you're clicking on items, some items actually do have upgrades, such as like the bow. The bow will have silver arrows as its next upgrade. So in order to turn it into silver arrows, you just have to right click on it in order to turn it into silver arrows. And then same thing with the dungeons here. As you can see, we have this randomizer randomizes which dungeons are required and which dungeons are optional. So you have to make sure that you right click on the different crystals to make sure that you know for yourself which dungeons are required and what's not required. Alright, so now that you are ready, I'm gonna go ahead and load the seed that I just generated in this video. I have never played this seed before, which is fun. I am going to go through this seed as if I'm doing an actual run, and I will show you guys what my thought process is as we go through the run. Now, one thing to note is whenever you load a seed, you'll notice that there's a code. The code will have 5 items on it. This is if you are racing with people, to make sure that you and the people that you're racing with will have the same seed. So in this case, if I was racing with somebody, I want to ask them, is the code bombs, mirror shield, green pendant, flute, or Book of Medora? And then if they say yes, then we're on the same seed. That way you don't have to figure out by brute forcing the seed to make sure that they're playing on the same seed. Alright, so here we go. So I'm going to go through the seed as if I'm doing a run, but I'm still going to show off all the different locations so you can check at the end of the seed. So here we go. So at the very beginning, Link, wake up, bye. Your uncle, if you're playing a standard mode, he's going to say a really funny message. The first thing you want to do is you want to open up this chest. In this case, I got a flute. Alright, great. Now, if your sword is your first item from that chest, then you actually cannot use your sword in order to slash these bushes. That is intentional. The game does not expect you to have your sword be your very, very first item. So what I'm doing here, when you're seeing me mashing these diagonals, is I am pumping. When I'm facing left or up, I'm mashing my D-pad in order to reset Link's movement position to be moving 2 pixels instead of 1 pixel, as a Link alternates between 1 and 2 pixels per frame. So, in case you're wondering why I'm doing all these, like mashing these diagonals. So bow is so I got bow from the uncle. And when you get bow, then most of the time you get 30 arrows coming with it. Alright, so going into Hyrule Castle. Now every dungeon will have a certain number of items in them. So as long as you count the number of items every dungeon has, then you know what chests and what rooms not to go to at all. So for Hyrule Castle, there are 6 items to get. Now, what is considered an item? It can be an actual item. It could be arrows, bombs, rupees, or heart pieces, heart containers. So that's 1 item right there. So since there's 6 items, I have 5 more items left to go. For what are considered items here. Now, if you need health, then then that pot right there contains a heart. Maps, keys, and big keys don't count towards the item count for dungeons. It's not immediately obvious as to how many items a dungeon will have, unless you've played a seed enough times. or if you played randomize, if you do enough randomizer seeds, then you'll eventually get used to how many items each dungeon has. So I just got arrows from the chest that's normally supposed to be the boomerang. Alright, so since I have arrows, you can shoot 4 arrows at this guy. If you want to be really safe, depending on what items you have coming into ball and chain guard, you can also just throw 2 pots. And all 3 of these pots contain hearts. Alright, so I got a shield as my next item after rescuing Zelda. So something that you'll notice immediately when you're playing Randomizer is there are no techs, so that automatically saves quite a bit of time over the regular game. Okay, so we made it to the throne room. And one thing you'll notice is we don't have a lamp. That's okay. If you're playing standard mode, then a lamp is not required in order to go through the sewers. So that means the lamp is going to be somewhere else. Otherwise, if you're playing open mode and you're going through Hyrule Castle, you do need the lamp in order to go through Hyrule Castle. At least in the sewers. That's actually pretty good RNG right there with the snakes. So, if you can, you definitely want to have a bomb, because there is a room towards the end of the escape section where you need bombs in order to check 3 chests. So that rat can either go top left or go straight at you, or go to the left side of the room, and I got unlucky. So sometimes some of these rats can drop a bomb, but since I didn't get any bombs, I mean, I could have just killed all the rats in order to get a bomb, but you can also just revisit Hyrule Castle later in order to get a bomb. So that's what I'm gonna do at this point. Now the Sanctuary, in the normal game, Sanctuary is outside of Castle of Hyrule, but in the randomizer, it is considered as part of Hyrule Castle. So that does count as one of the item checks for Castle of Hyrule. So we are done with Hyrule Castle now, and so you can go to either Kakariko or Eastern Palace. Eastern Palace, you can go to Eastern Palace if you think that you have what it takes to complete the dungeon. But if you can find a bow, like if you don't have bow, come up until this point, then you can go to, you can hope that there's a bow in Eastern Palace and then complete Eastern Palace. But it is generally not worth trying to hope that you can find bow there. So it is, in most cases, better just go straight to Kakariko. So what I'm doing is I'm actually not going straight to Kakariko. I like to go upwards instead and check Lumberjack to see what Lumberjack has in store for us. So in this case, Lumberjack has a heart piece. That means that you don't need to fight Aghanim in this seed, at least not yet. And these lumberjacks will be away from this tree that you have to that you normally have to bonk in with the Pegasus boots when you defeat Aghanim in Castle Dungeon later. But since there's a heart piece up in the lumberjack cave, that is one step closer to not having to fight Aghanim. So now we're gonna go to Lost Woods. This is my starting route for every seed. By the way, I like to keep things a little bit consistent. You can diverge a little bit in the beginning, depending on what items you have. But I like to start off. This is like my starting route for every seed, just to kind of see how my route's gonna go later on in the seed. So I got rupees from falling down there. Also, there was 10 arrows in the spot where I was supposed to find mushroom. So I don't need to pick that up. Alright, so at some point you do want to check the map to see what dungeons are required. So in this seed, it looks like Desert Palace and Tower of Hera are the required dungeons, which are the crystals. And then Tower of Hera is optional, but Tower of Hera is a green pendant. Now, green pendant is good. It can be a good thing because if you can complete it get the green pendant, then you can actually go to Sahasrahla, nearby Eastern Palace, and get an item from Sahasrahla. So it can sometimes be a good thing to complete dungeons that have a green pendant. But most of the time, you want to try and avoid that if you can, because if Sahasrahla does not give you an item that you need, then you essentially wasted time depending on what the dungeon is for a green pendant. So all these pots right here are rupees. You want to try and rack up on rupees as early as you can, because you need 100 rupees for the bottle vendor, and then at some point you want to try and rack up on 500 to check Zora, King Zora, at Zora's domain. So now that I got bombs, I can check Blind's Hut, and then I can check the bottom of the well. You need at least 3 bombs for Kakariko, because there's another house in Kakariko that requires bombs. Okay, so I got a Master Sword. So at this point, I'm actually good on swords, because you need at least a Master Sword in order to damage Ganon. The small sword will not damage Ganon at all. So you at least need a Master Sword, and if you can find other sword upgrades, then that can also be a good thing. So unfortunately, I got a red rupee for 100 rupees. So now we're gonna go and check the chicken house. And this one requires bombs in order to check what's inside here. A singular arrow. Okay, so then you go and head over here. I got more bombs, and since I have a bottle, we're actually gonna go up across the street to this guy's house and see what he has. You need a bottle in order to get an item from him. In this case, he gave me a blue rupee. Okay, now since I have a flute, and this didn't cross my mind, if you want, in order to do a really good randomizer, then knowing what you have and having really quick thinking is very important. So there's always a lot of different things to think about, depending on what items you get. So since I have the flute, we can go and activate the flute in the weather vane. So that way we can use the flute and warp to different places. Now, if you need bombs, which sometimes you don't always get bombs early, then you can actually go to this shop here and buy 10 bombs for 50 rupees. But since I have plenty of bombs, I am not going to buy bombs. Because I have plenty of bombs that'll work out for basically the whole run. If you have the hammer, as well as magic powder, then you go to the right here and get another check. But I don't have that right now. So we're gonna go ahead and head on down and go to the library to see what the library has. Okay, this is a red rupee. So sometimes there's an item that can be required in the library, and you need Pegasus boots in order to get it. And then I like to go down over here to see what is at the end of the 15-second maze, which in this case is a heart piece. So that means I don't need to go through the maze in order to get the heart piece. But if there is an item required, then what you do is you want to go inside this house. If you have the Pegasus boots, then you can bonk into the bombable wall. But since I don't have the Pegasus boots, I'm going to go and use a bomb and blow up this wall, and then head through here. So I have 15 seconds to go through this maze. You can actually hop over this fence, which is a bit of a shortcut in order to go through this maze quickly. And as long as you're under 15 seconds, then you can grab this heart piece. Okay. So at this point, my next few checks are a little bit out of the way, so I'm going to go ahead and save and quit. Saving and quitting is allowed in Randomizer. So we're going to go ahead and save and quit in order to spawn in different parts of the overworld. So when you save and quit, you can either spawn at your house or the sanctuary. So I'm going to go ahead and spawn at my house in order to get to my next part quicker. Additionally, if you have the flute, which actually, since I do have the flute, I actually should have done this. So this is one of the things where you always have to be aware of what items you have. But in a normal circumstance, most of the time I'm not used to having the flute this early, so I can just flute the 7 really quickly. I like to go straight over here to the Swamp Palace area and check this, which is another heart piece. So we're gonna go ahead and try this again here and revisit this, because if you revisit and then pull this lever, the right lever, by the way, then that'll drain the water, which is what you need to do in order to enter Swamp Palace. But we're not ready to enter Swamp Palace right now. Alright, so in this case I got 10 arrows in there, so I don't need to pick it up. Any item that you don't need to pick up, then you generally don't want to try and pick up at all. Now, in Lake Hylia, you do want to be careful, because some of these enemies do hurt quite a lot, and if you're going to Lake Hylia early on, you definitely do want to be very careful. These are some very hard-hitting enemies, and coming in here early on, you don't have a lot of hearts to work with. So you can actually walk on the bottom of the pits on the left and right side, which makes defeating these mini Mortums easier to kill. Okay, got a heart container from that guy. And I got a cape, so the only meaningful thing I got out of that was a cape. Now, if for some reason you need to go to Castle Dungeon, you do need either a Master Sword or the cape in order to enter the Castle Dungeon part of Hyrule Castle. Ooh, I need to be careful. This is why you need to be very careful here, because these enemies, the Octoroks do 1 heart of damage, and the crabs here, they do 2 hearts of damage. And sometimes you can get armor upgrade, which will reduce the damage taken, which will make Lake Hylia a little bit safer. Alright, so we're gonna go and check Ice Rod, and we got a hookshot. Alright, so having hookshot is actually a really good find. Because that gives you efficient Dark World access. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and go back to Lake Hylia, and I'm actually going to show you guys a trick here. This trick is never required in any randomizer run, but it can help you increase efficiency and getting items earlier than you're supposed to. So this is called going out of logic, which means because there's not a single seed that requires this trick. So well, I'm going to be performing a trick called Fake Flippers. The way Fake Flippers works is you want to stand on the very edge of the screen before the screen transition, fall in the water, and then transition. Okay, so I was a little bit off. You can buffer the movement by either using your sword, you can pause in order to move 1 pixel at a time. Nice! And that is Fake Flippers. Now, the other way that you can do it is by going in the screen, and this is a much easier way of setting up Fake Flippers. And that is by standing right here, go up against this bush, and then slash, and then hold diagonal, and then you have Fake Flippers. Now, in the normal game, if you have Fake Flippers and you get hit, then you soft lock the game. But in Randomizer, if you get hit in Fake Flipper state, you just die. So you want to try your best not to get hit. So the reason fake flippers is useful in Randomizer is so you can go to that whirlpool right there, which will take you to Zora's domain. So you can go to Zora's domain earlier than you're supposed to if you have the rupees to do that, to check King Zora. You can also check the waterfall, and that is if you don't have flippers or but you have Moon Pearl, then you can go to the waterfall. But most importantly, you can go ahead and check King Zora and see what he has if you have the rupees. But since I don't have the rupees, I'm not going to go to King Zora right now. Okay, so there's a heart piece on that island right there, so that means I don't need to go to that island whatsoever. So then if you go ahead and keep on going, and then go underneath this bridge, and then talk to this guy, and he's gonna give me rupees. Okay. Another good check is if you're able to, then you can go to Death Mountain. And there's a couple different ways to go to Death Mountain. If you're able to access Death Mountain early, that's a great thing because Death Mountain tends to have a lot of checks. That is if you're able to go to Death Mountain and you have the items available to check a lot of Death Mountain. So if you have the Power Glove, then you can go to Death Mountain the normal way. Or if you have the flute, then you can just flute over Death Mountain. So we're gonna go ahead and flute over to Death Mountain. And then I'm gonna go ahead and show off another sequence break here. Again, this is going out of logic because right now I am not supposed to be doing this. And the reason I'm going out of logic is because I don't have a lamp. So it is pitch black. It's impossible to see what you're doing. But if you know how to go through this cave, then it can, again, it's not another one of those situations where it can help increase efficiency if you can do it well enough. So what I do here is, I know there's bats coming up, so okay. I use the sparkle to kind of guide myself as I'm going through this. So basically what I do here is, well, I'm gonna start from the very beginning. I enter the cave, I hold out my sword, I hold diagonal, and then I hold diagonal up left until I see myself moving left. And then I continue holding down left until I see myself going down. And then I switch to up left again until I see myself going left. And then that's how I know I'm going into the next room. And then as soon as I go inside this room, I know that I got the old man, so I'm going back. So again, I'm holding out my sword the entire time in order to know what exactly I'm doing. So right here, as soon as I head on back, I'm holding down right until I see myself hugging the slope right here. And then I switch to right until I get to this part, and then I switch to holding down in order to avoid getting hit by the bats. Press down left until I get to this part because I know this is going to be the exit. That is how you can sequence break and getting the old man earlier than you're supposed to without lamp. Okay, so the old man gave me 300 rupees, which is pretty good. So that way we're getting closer to getting up to 500. Because you need 500 in order to check King Zora. So if you need health, then you can go back in the cave and talk to the old man. The other good thing about rescuing the old man is now you have an extra save point for when you need to save and quit and spawn at Death Mountain, which is good for efficient overworld traveling if you don't have to flute up until this point. Alright, so now we're gonna go ahead and continue. I'll try to avoid the boulders if you can. The boulders fall down randomly, so sometimes you can't really control whether you're gonna get hit or not. But most of the time, it's pretty easy to avoid them if you know what their patterns are. Okay, so there's a red rupee up there, and then I like to go inside this cave and see what's going on up here. Okay, so there's bombs up there, so I don't need to go there whatsoever. But if you do want to get whatever item is in this cave, then what you do is you want to hop down this ledge right here, and then go inside this cave. And then... okay, so there's a couple ways of going about with this. So what you want to do is you can get this item, and then you go and make your way back. But if you still want to make your way to the top part of the mountain, then what you can do is you can do what's called a bomb jump. So there's a couple different ways of going about with this bomb jump. So what some people do is they will line themselves up with this torch and then go down right here, pull this wall, and as they're pulling the wall, they buffer and up left, and then go up left until they get the item, and then grab a bomb, and then start setting up the bomb jump by lifting up the bomb, position themselves up across this pit like that, and you get yourself boosted across the pit. You want to make sure you're standing very close to the edge in order to get boosted. If you are either a few pixels off, then you will not get boosted across enough. The other way of going about with this bomb jump, and this is what I like to do, is I grab the item, and then I lined my sword up with this black line on the left of this telepathic tile. You can also line your sword up against the white spots of the telepathic tile as well, and then set up the bomb jump just like that, and that is the bomb jump. It's not super hard, but it can be pretty precise to set up. Okay, so right now I don't have a Moon's Pearl, so I'm not going to go to the Dark World. But since I know what items are going to be up here and inside Spectacle Cave, as that's what that cave that I was just at is called, I like to hop down this ledge and then make my way over to the other side of Death Mountain, while also avoiding these boulders. So since I have the hook shot, I can hook my way across here to this side. And then make my way over to this cave. And then while I'm in this cave, I'm going to fall down here. Blow up this wall over here. And these two pots will contain hearts if you are low on hearts going into this cave. Head upstairs. And we wanted to go ahead and defeat all these mini Moldorms, if I can. I'm doing a bad job. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, you can either throw a bomb at that switch, or if you have other items, then you can go ahead and use those as well. I believe a sword beam also works if you have the Master Sword. And ooh, I found a hammer. Alright. So hammer is a really good thing because hammer opens up the Dark World quite a bit. Okay. You want to avoid these red Tektites. Because these red Tektites do 2 hearts of damage. Yeah. Then you go ahead and make your way through this part again, and then now that you're up here, you can go ahead and make your way up. Okay, so there's a temper sword up there. Now, something that's worth pointing out about items that have upgrades. Some items that have upgrades, they are progressive, which means that I found the temper sword up there. And I have one other location that the sword that another sword could be at, and if I find that location, then that will also be a temper sword, and then the sword that's up there on the floating island will be the gold sword. So you will never find the gold sword before you find tempered or master sword. And that's the same thing with silver arrows. You're never gonna find silver arrows before the bow. You're never gonna find red mail over blue mail, and you're never gonna find Titansmiths over power glove. These are all progressive. Okay, so at this point, since I'm up here, if Tower of Hera is required, and I have all the items that I need in order to complete Tower of Hera, which in this case would be the lamp, or the fire rod, then I can go to Tower of Hera first, and then if I have the Book of Medora, I can check the Ether Tablet. But since I don't have either of those, I am not able to go to either of those checks. So I'm going to go over here to this ledge and then go inside this cave. Alright. It's a little bit easier killing these guys with hookshot. Unless you have sword beams, so you can do that too. So go ahead and go inside, go through the spiral cave, and all I got was bombs. Okay, so the next decent location that I can check is by going to the Eastern Palace area. Because in the Eastern Palace area, Sahasrahla has 3 chests that I can take a look at. So if you go ahead and make your way through, avoid all these Octoroks if you can. If you have the boots, you can dash into that bombable wall. And in this case, we have heart pieces and rupees. So one thing you want to try and avoid is revisiting areas either 3 times or more. Revisiting an area twice is fine, but sometimes if the start of the run is not going well for you, then sometimes you're gonna have to make choices where you're gonna have to go to an area, go for one check, and hope that it's whatever you need. So in this case right here, since the seed's not going really well for me, I'm going to go to Desert Palace. Usually I like to check the desert if I'm able to do Desert Palace, as well as do Misery Mire if my items are good enough. So right now I can't do Desert Palace at all, but I'm going here just to check the Desert Cave. You can also check what is at the Desert Ledge to see if you need it or not. Okay, that's a pretty good find right there. Moon Pearl is great because that gives us Dark World access. So since I have the Moon Pearl, I can show you guys another sequence break that is out of logic. So, once again, I'm gonna go ahead and pull off Fake Flippers again. Very nice. So, since I have Fake Flippers, now we're gonna go to Zora's Domain, since I have the rupees. And I have the Moon Pearl. So, for some reason, I don't know the explanation as to why having Moon Pearl makes this trick work, but while I have Fake Flippers, you want to go inside this waterfall. And then go ahead and leave. And then now, all of a sudden, I am on what's called Jesus State, where now all of a sudden I can walk. So what this means is if I leave now, I can actually walk on water. And you want to make sure you avoid walking on any grassy terrain. Otherwise, it makes a trick fail, and you also want to try not to get hit by anything. So, I got one of the items I got in behind the waterfall is Ice Rod. So, this means that I have Ice Rod much earlier than I'm supposed to have Ice Rod. So I was supposed to have... That means I missed flippers somewhere. Okay, 500 for 50 for 500. Man, alright. Okay, so at this point, there was a heart container at the ledge of Zora's Domain, which means I don't need to get it, but if you're able to get the Zora's Domain ledge, then what you do is you want to go hop off the ledge of that waterfall, and then go to the left. And then that's how you get the item over at the ledge of Zora's Domain. So as of right now, things are looking really rough for me with this seed. And that is that I currently don't have a way to access Dark World, which unfortunately it is... When you don't have access to Dark World at this point of the run, then it can be kind of a roadblock, because your options are very limited if you can't get to Dark World. And I've checked every possible location I can efficiently check. So at this point, right now, it is looking pretty likely that I may have to go to Castle Dungeon. And Castle Dungeon, a lot of cases, is not required. And if you can help yourself into not doing Castle Dungeon, then you take it. So right now, in order to avoid me not having to go to Castle Dungeon, I am going to have to try my best into going to dungeons that I can't full clear, in hopes that I can find the items that I need to full clear these dungeons. Otherwise, I might be in trouble. So this is what we call gambling, and that is taking risks into going into an area that you don't have all the necessary things to full clear, hoping that you can find it. So in Tower of Hera, I can complete Tower of Hera, technically. However, okay, so if you don't find the big key, then that means that you need to go to the tile room, which requires a key, and also you need either the lamp or the fire rod in order to get the chest from tile room. So, going back into how every dungeon has a certain number of items that can be in the dungeons, Tower of Hera has 2 items. Now, something that's worth pointing out in main dungeons is that bosses can also contain items too. Which means that Moldorm can potentially have the key that I need in order to check tile room. Now, you absolutely need the big key in order to go into this part of the room. So if you haven't found big key, which then that means you have to get to tile room, and tile room has the big key. So you can hit the switch, which will make all the pots at the right before Moldorm accessible, and all those pots are hearts. Okay. You can kill all these enemies if you like. Okay, so I found a bottle there. Okay, so here is... so normally, you're supposed to go to the very top of Tower of Hera and fall down in order to get over to this part, in order to get to that big chest. However, if you line yourself up with the small shield being halfway lined up with the pit, then you can place a bomb right here and then boost your way across. You want to be careful not to let that spark hit you. Okay, so I found a key. Map was in the first room in the left. Now we're gonna be fighting Moldorm. Okay. So, I'm gonna complete Tower of Hera, even though it is optional, but this could allow me to check Sahasrahla if I need to. So there's a couple of ways of fighting Moldorm. If you have the hammer, then the hammer does more damage than the Master Sword. However, it can be a little bit awkward. So one thing that's worth pointing out with Moldorm, and this is something that newer players struggle with, is if you hold your sword out and you get knocked around Moldorm, you can actually hold against the opposite pit, the opposite side of the pit, and you will not fall down. The other thing that's worth pointing out with Moldorm is the tail will not hurt you. Only the head will. I'm doing a really bad job with this. Also, try not to fall down the center of the hole, otherwise you'll fall down 2 holes. And if you have the hammer, it takes 3 hits to beat Moldorm. Okay, so I got Quake. So that means that... So getting medallions is a good thing, because you need at least 1 or 2 medallions in order to potentially go to Misery Mire or Turtle Rock. So, and also, normally in A Link to the Past, in normal Link to the Past, Quick and Ether are required. But in Randomizer, what medallions are required for either dungeon is random. So now that I completed Tower of Hera and I got the green pendant, then I can go ahead and check Sahasrahla and see what he can give me. Alright, so back at Sahasrahla, he gives me the Power Glove. So that meant that going into Tower of Hera and completing it was required. By the way, you'll notice that even though I have the small key, so I can now check the tower room, I know that whatever is in the tower room is not going to give me anything, because I already got the 2 items that I found in Tower of Hera. But I can show you guys at the very end later how to go through tower room, even though tower room is pretty self-explanatory. Alright, so since I have the Power Glove now, that actually opens up a lot of options for me. Because if I have the Power Glove, then what I can do is I can actually go back to Hyrule Castle now, lift up those rocks, push this tombstone, head inside, equip bombs, blow up this wall. You can use the Pegasus boots to dash into the bombable walls if you have the boots. And I got Fire Rod and a shield. So again, shields are also progressive as well. So I found a red shield there. If I found a red shield somewhere else, that would be the Mire shield. So I can save and quit because it's faster to save and quit. And now, since I have the Power Glove and the Moon Pearl, as well as Hookshot and Hammer, I have access to most of the Dark World. What will give me full Dark World exploration would be the Titan's Mitts. So this now confirms that I don't need to fight Aghanim in order to access the Dark World. So we're gonna go over here, enter the Dark World, and the first thing you want to do as soon as you have Dark World access is open up the map again in order to see what dungeons in Dark World are required. So it looks like Skull Woods and Misery Mire are optional. So that means I'm going to go and right click on my tracker to make those pendants. I can also click on this to notify that I completed Tower of Hera. And one thing you'll also notice on the map is that some of these crystals, which are Thieves Town and Swamp Palace, those are red crystals. Now what red crystals mean is those are crystals that are required in order to have access to the Big Bomb and deliver the Big Bomb to the pyramid, so that way you can get 2 chests from there. Also, something I forgot to mention is that the two chests that I checked in the waterfall in Zora's Domain, those are usually like upgrades. Like, you know, in Zora's Domain, you can upgrade your boomerang and you can upgrade your shield. That got replaced with just two chests. And then same thing with the pyramid later on. If you're able to check the pyramid, it got replaced by two chests. So anyway, back to red crystals. The reason these are red crystals is because normally in regular Link to the Past, in order to access the Big Bomb, you need to complete Ice Palace and Misery Mire. In Randomizer, the two dungeons that you need in order to access Big Bomb are randomized. So that's why we have red crystals there, to notify you what crystals are required if you so wish to check the Big Bomb. Alright, so back to Dark World Exploration. So, what I like to do, since I'm here, is I like to go over here to this cave. This cave is what people like to call the Hype Cave, because a lot of the times, Hype Cave will have really useful things. It's known to be really exciting, but it is looking likely that, yeah, that wasn't very exciting. So this is one of the few cases where it wasn't very exciting, but most of the time it has a reputation of it being having very exciting finds. Okay. So the next thing is I like to go this way. Hammer these 3 pegs. Make sure you avoid all the enemies, especially like if you're able to check Dark World early in some seeds. Most of the time you'll have very few hearts, and these enemies hurt quite a lot. So I want to be very careful with the enemies here. Okay. I like to go to check the pyramid as well to see what is at the edge of the pyramid. And there's 50 rupees, so I don't need to pick it up. So if I see, generally, the strategy in order to make it efficient, if you want to save the most amount of time as possible with Randomizer, is if most of the time, if you have enough rupees, you generally don't want to pick up extra rupees. And if you have enough hearts to survive the game, then you generally don't want to pick up extra hearts. I like to go up here first. This is probably not super efficient, but I like checking it here because I'll forget if I don't. And right now, since I don't have Mire, I want to get if I don't have Mire, but I have access to Dark World, I want to try and check Dark World for as much as I can in order to increase efficiency. Sometimes that bush that I just lifted up will contain a heart, and sometimes it doesn't. So if you are not at full HP, then it is worth trying to figure out if that bush will have a heart. Let's see what Catfish will give me. He gives me a heart piece. Okay. So if you have Hook Shot, then you can make your way this way to this ledge, hook onto this rock, and that way you can explore the other side of Dark World. If you have the Mire, then you can mirror right around here to check the tombstone if you have boots, and then additionally you can check that ledge over there, and get whatever check is in there. And then if you want, you can make your way this way. And this part's a little scary because these two birds, they hurt for 3 hearts of damage. If you have the hook shot, then you can defeat them in 1 hit. So right up here, we got a blue rupee. But if you are interested in going inside this cave and actually getting what's required in there, and you can go inside this cave, try to avoid the enemies if you can, and you don't need hook shot. You can line yourself up on the top edge of the pit like this against the wall, grab this pot, and that saves you from needing hook shot. So you don't need hook shot. And then you do need the cape in order to go through the bumper. Oh. Okay. So continuing, we're gonna go ahead and head on down, and we're gonna go to the Dark World Kakariko. I forget what it's called. There is a name for it. I don't remember what it's called though. And there's quite a bit of checks here in Dark World Kakariko as well. You can actually diverge. Now sometimes, if I'm able to find Moon Pearl, Hammer, and Power Glove early within Kakariko Village, then I will diverge my early game route and actually check Dark World early. But that requires you to be very lucky in some seeds. So now we're gonna go to chess game. So we all know that chess game is random, right? You always have a 1 in 8 chance of getting a heart piece from the chess game per attempt. However, in Randomizer, you're always going to get whatever prize is in the chess game first try, and it's always going to be the second chess. So, let's see what we get. 50 rupees. All right. Okay. So at this point, while I'm around here, I can actually do Thieves Town, since I have all the items I need in order to complete Thieves Town. You just need Hammer in order to full clear it, and that's it. But before I go to Thieves Town, I want to go ahead and check in that house, which in this case I got a red. And then there's another check that I can go ahead and take a look at, and that is in this house over here. Oops, did it incorrectly. And I got myself a heart piece. Okay. So now we're gonna go ahead and check Thieves Town and full clear it. Okay, so Thieves Town has 4 items. Now, there's also a strange quirk within the logic of some dungeons, and that is that some dungeons will have the big key. If the big key is not required in order to complete a dungeon, sometimes a big key will be in a big chest that requires the big key, which is kind of strange. And then also a small key can be inside of a big key, like behind a locked door, that is usually never required for dungeon progression. Alright, so I found flippers, which is actually a pretty big find, because then that allows me to swim. I already checked Zora's domain, so at that point, I only need flippers in order to do Swamp Palace, and technically enter Ice Palace as well. But I can fake flippers to Ice Palace if you haven't found flippers. But fake flippers will never be required, like I said. But so if you have a seed where Swamp Palace is optional, then flippers can potentially be optional. But with the logic of of this game's randomizer, that is never the case. In case you don't want to do fake flippers. But like I said, never required, but it helps increase efficiency if you want to get a good time in a randomizer scene. Alright, so this room's kind of a pain without boots. So we're gonna try our best here. We're gonna try our best to avoid the enemies if we can. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That was insane. Something else that's worth pointing out with dungeons that have crystals or pendants is you get the Light World dungeon music for dungeons that have pendants, and then you get the Dark World dungeons for dungeons that have crystals in them. So it's a pretty good indicator, but then also you're gonna notice on the side there, we got C, and then pendants will have P. So it's another good indicator of letting you know if you're in an optional or required dungeon. If for some reason you decide not to check your map to know which dungeons are required and which dungeons are not. Right here's a bomb if you need it. So at this point I found 3 items, so I need to find 1 more. Now, if you're low on hearts, what I like to do is I like to get rid of this guy, because this guy tends to shoot you if you're checking the hearts. So there's hearts there on the left or on the right sides of both those jails. And then if you have powder, you don't need to lift up this rock over here. All you have to do is powder this rock, and the bunny beam will turn into a fairy. Okay. So since I still need 1 more item, I can go ahead and open up this locked door over here. Oops. Okay, so that's gonna be a map. Okay, so if you have boots, then it is faster to go up on the top there, but since I don't have boots, it is quicker for me to go this way. The pot on the top left contains arrows if you need arrows. Okay. So, now blind. Blind is always the same as long as you fight him the same way each time. So, the way you fight blind, there's a few different ways of going about this, but this is my way of fighting blind. So I have to hold my sword out. Okay. Then just dodge all the fireballs. I like to hang around this side. Some people like to hang around the right. Okay, I messed that up a little bit, but that's basically the general idea of how to fight blind. So I'm gonna go and do that again. And hopefully I can do a much cleaner version. Just like that. That's my way of fighting blind. Some people do it differently, but that is the way that I like to fight blind. Now, something that's worth pointing out is that blind always takes the same amount of damage no matter what you're using. So it doesn't matter if you have the Master Sword, the Gold Sword, or even the Fighter Sword. He always takes the same amount of hits to beat. Alright, so now that Thieves Town is completed, we're gonna go ahead and make our way down. And I still have the Titan's Mitts. So, otherwise, if you have the Titan's Mitts, then you can go ahead and rescue this frog. If you have the Mire, then it's really efficient to rescue him with the Mire, but there is a way to rescue that frog without the Mire, if you can get the Mire. But we're gonna go ahead and go to Digging Game for right now. And again, just like in regular Link to the Past, Digging Game is normally really random. But it's always first try, and normally in regular Link to the Past, you can't get the heart piece on the first 25 holes, but in Randomizer, it's a random amount of holes that's typically less than 25 holes to get a prize from the Digging Game. So in this case, I got 300 rupees from the Digging Game. go ahead and make your way up here. And talk to the flute guy of the Dark World and get, I got bombs out of it. Okay, so at this point, I still haven't found a lot of my items that could make exploring efficient, and I still haven't found a lot of my items where I can efficiently full clear a lot of dungeons. So right now, I'm thinking about going back to Death Mountain. I'm gonna go ahead and refill an HP because what I'm about to do requires a ton of intentional damage. And this is something I generally consider a low priority check because in a lot of my experience, this check tends to not pay off often than not, so... and that is the infamous Spike Cave. So, everybody probably knows that this is a large room full of spikes, and you're intended to have either the Cane of Burna or the Cape in order to go through it. Now, I have the Cape, so you need the hammer in order to enter the spikes, and then, once you're ready, and if you have the hearts to do this, and as well as the magic, then you can boost your way through the spikes. So I take a bit of damage so I can conserve a bit of magic, because as you can see, using the cape uses up quite a bit of magic. And unfortunately, that didn't pay off. So we're gonna have to get out of here. So, as of right now, my only choices are to go into some dungeons. And I still don't have a lot of my efficient item checks in order to make exploring really efficient. So I'm feeling that I should go into some optional dungeons, and the only other optional dungeon I can go to right now is Skull Woods. So I'm gonna go to Skull Woods. It'll probably be a waste of time if I don't end up finding anything useful in Skull Woods, but as of right now, with what I got and with how much trouble I'm having currently, I think it'll be worth it. Now, there's something that completing optional dungeons can have a benefit to, and it's something that you really don't want to bank on, unless it is, like, absolutely the last thing possible, and that is checking the Massive Sword pedestal, which requires all 3 Light World dungeons in order to get whatever is in the pedestal. Now, whatever is in the pedestal, you can actually check to see what can be in the pedestal if you have the Book of Medora. But we're not going to do that right now. I also don't have the Book of Medora anyway, so I cannot check what item could potentially be in the pedestal. But there is this very rare situation where the seed that you're playing on can be a pedestal seed, which means you do have to complete every main dungeon. Meanwhile, we're gonna go to Skull Woods for now. So this first room is a pain in the butt. So the way you want to do this room is you want to kind of move in a way where you can manipulate the Gibdo's movement. So what? I walk forward, slash the 2 jelly enemies, and if I don't kill the second one, then I just throw a pot at it. You kind of want to go to the bottom right corner of the statue, push it like a full tile, and then you want to, and then go to the side, slide up and then down in order to manipulate the Gibdo's movement. So I'm gonna go and show it off again. Just like that. Now the movement is really precise, and if you're ever so slightly off your movement, then that could manipulate the Gibdo's movements to be not where you want the Gibdos to be at. Also, there's a very rare situation, I don't know what causes this, but the Gibdo, the left Gibdo, can actually be stuck in place, and that's what we call stuck mummy. And that's usually a good thing, but again, I don't know what causes that to happen. But if you can get it to happen, then you get yourself a free room. Now, if you have the Can of Samaria, this room is simplified by just simply lifting up this pot, going up here, and then place a Samaria block on the switch. I'm gonna go and show this off one more time. Okay, and just like that. Alright. Now sometimes that Gibdo right there can be right in front of the doorway. Just slash him out. If you have the boots, then you can just dash and in order to hit him. Now Skullwoods has 2 items. So that was 1 item. If I had the mirror, then I can just use the mirror in order to get out of here quickly. But since I don't, I just have to get out of here the long way. Okay, now, what I like to do in Randomizer, normally you can just fall down here, or you can go inside there and do a bomb jump, but in Randomizer, I like to fall down this hole, because I can get some, I can efficiently check more chests in Skullwoods this way. I like to go inside this room first. I don't open up that chest right now because that'll activate some pits. Okay. Grab that magic because I'm low on magic. You can get a lot of keys here because the point of Skullwoods is you'll get lost a lot. But the route that I like to take in Skullwoods in Rando is... Well, this is the route that I like to take in Rando. Oh! If you have enough magic, then you can use the Fire Rod to one-hit those Gibdos. And then if you have the hook shot, you can actually stand right here close to the pit and then hook your way through. And then you can bomb this wall over here. And if you have the big key, then you can go inside that room and get the big chest. But since I don't have either, or I don't have the big key, then I have to leave and come back there later. You actually don't need the big key chest, or you don't need the big key in order to complete the dungeon. The big key is only needed in order to open up that chest. You need the sword in order to complete the rest of Skullwoods, because there's a curtain that you have to open up with the sword. So that pot there contains a key, if you need a key. Oh man. Go ahead and light up this in order to enter the rest of Skullwoods. Now, unfortunately, I'm low on magic, so I'm gonna have to find a way to get magic. I do have a green potion, so if I need to, then I can use it. Okay, the Gibdos are in the way here. Oh, okay, actually, that's fine. Because dying there... Oh, actually, I have a fairy. But if you do die and get a game over, you'll actually spawn right in the beginning of the room. Effectively giving yourself a death warp. But since I didn't know that I had a fairy, then I just have to get out of here the long way. If you have the mirror, then you can actually mirror out after opening up that chest. Okay, so from the looks of things, it seems like I'm gonna have to... Mothula is most likely going to give me the big key. I'm gonna go and use my green potion right now. if you need a key, if you need an extra key in order to complete this dungeon, this Gibdo will have a key. Hit him into the spikes 2 times like that, and that's how you beat that guy easily. Or if you don't want to do that, then you can use the fire rod against him. Okay. Now, Mothula. So, since this is an optional dungeon, I will generally try to avoid fighting the boss of a dungeon and complete it. But I will do it here for the sake of showing off Mothula. So, Mothula with the Master Sword is a little bit difficult. What makes Mothula really hard is you want to try not to hit him into the spikes. Otherwise he takes 0 damage. You can use the Fire Rod, and it does a bit more damage than Master Sword damage. If you have the Tempered Sword, then the Fire Rod does less damage than Tempered Sword. You want to try and avoid the spikes if you can. This is not going well. Okay, very nice. Okay, green rupee. Alright, so that means that the big key chest is going to have a big key in it. So at this rate, I am still really stuck right now. So, what I'm thinking now in this situation is probably finally going to Eastern Palace and maybe do as much as we can. I don't have a lamp, but I can technically complete it. It is quite a bit of a gamble without the lamp, because that means I have to, if I don't find a lamp in this dungeon, then I have to find the, I gotta hope that I find the lamp within this dungeon or somewhere else. And generally, if you can brute force your way through dark rooms, then it's not really worth trying to double dip a dungeon just to go through it with lamp. So, Eastern Palace has 3 items that you can get. So the other check that you can find here is by going in this side. And if you have the hook shot, then you can go inside this bottom room and hookshot this chest. And there's the lamp. Alright, so that means we can actually complete Eastern Palace. Well, I mean, I could have always completed Eastern Palace, but I can have a much easier time without brute forcing myself to complete it. So in this room right here, if you move like this, then you'll spawn 2 skeletons. Okay, so I found the big key. So hopefully, this big key chest can be an item instead of a map or a compass. Okay, it's an item, so that means I don't need to go all the way to check the big key room. I believe. No, I do. Okay, never mind. Alright, so then in that case... Yeah, because if you haven't found the map or compass, but the 3 items that you found were in all 3 of those chests, then you don't need to go into you don't need to go to this part of the dungeon at all. It can save time. Alright. So in this room right here, normally you're supposed to defeat all the enemies, but if you use iframes, just like that, then you don't have to fight any of the enemies. Okay, so now I know that Armos Knight is going to contain the map. So now that we checked all the locations in this dungeon, we're gonna go ahead and complete it. And since I have silver arrows, some of this is going to be much easier. If for some reason you need rupees, then you can go inside this room, and this room will give you lots of rupees. And then if you need arrows, all these pots right here contain arrows. I hit the switch. Alright, so you don't need to defeat this Igor in order to hit the switch right here. You can just go behind him and hit the switch that way. Ooh. So this is the first part where if you don't have arrows, then that's the part where you'll be stuck at, because these Igors can only be defeated with arrows. Okay. So Armos Knight is really easy. All you have to do is just stand right around here, shoot 5 arrows as soon as they start moving, and then shoot the rest of the arrows while facing down and on the top left of the screen. Because the idea is you want to defeat them in a way where the last Armos Knight isn't going to turn red and gains all of his health back. Since we are here, or still around this area, I can actually go back to the Dark World and in this area and actually go to Palace of Darkness. So avoid all these enemies over here. Now, to enter Palace of Darkness, you want to make sure you have 110 rupees or more if for some reason you get hit. So there's the 10 rupees in order for him to follow me, and I have to try not to get hit until we get to the dungeon. And then it requires 100 rupees in order to open the dungeon. Something that's worth noting about Randomizer is normally you can only carry up to a 3-digit number of rupees, but in Randomizer you can carry up to a 4-digit number of rupees. Okay, so Palace of Darkness is, since I don't have Mire, it's kind of inefficient to explore because Palace of Darkness is really it's really useful to explore it when you have Mire. So you can like warp back to the entrance a lot easier because there's a lot of falling down floors and finding where to back up. But if you're in a situation where you don't have Mire going into here, then there's not really much you can do about it. So Palace of Darkness, I believe, has 5 items. Yes, 5 items. If you have boots, then you can bonk into that wall. But otherwise, you want to have bombs. And same thing with the spawnable wall. Oh, I didn't... Yeah, these pots contain bombs if you need bombs. Okay. So if you have the hammer, then you can hammer through these pegs right here. Otherwise, it's actually faster to just Mire after getting that chest. But since I don't have the Mire, I have to take this route. go ahead and blow up this, and then make your way up this way. By the way, if you have the boots, and then for some reason you bonk in this room, then you'll get into this glitch state to where, like, you'll go back into the stairs automatically. So you want to avoid bonking in this room. I believe that's my first item, unless I miscounted somewhere. But I think that's my first item out of 5. Okay, now, in this room, you can do a trick called hammer jump, or you can just keep going. Most of the time you want to keep going. But if you want to do hammer jump for whatever reason, then what you do is you go ahead and line yourself up in double pixel perfect positions. This is actually a good pixel. So you can't really see it, but pay attention to the left side of the screen. If I see that this little line right here is lined up in between the 2 menu bars, then I know I'm in the right position to place a bomb. So then I place 2 bombs, lift up one of them in order to blow up the other wall, and then I need to pay attention to that little circle right there. I need to make sure that the bottom of the circle is lined up perfectly with the red menu. And I use pause buffering to make sure that I am in the right position. So that is the right position. And then I get boosted in order to do the hammer bomb jump. Now, in regular Link to the Past speedruns, this saves a lot of time because you can skip 2 keys. But in Randomizer, this barely saves anything. Because if you don't have the big key, like I don't right now, then I made it pointless to do, and this can only save time if the big key is in this chest, and you don't need to check any other items. But it is not worth trying to hope for, and it barely doesn't save much time anyway. So overall, in Randomizer, you don't need to learn this trick. So since we're not doing hammer bomb jump, if you're not doing hammer bomb jump, which most of the time you won't in Randomizer, you want to, of course, go through the bridge like normal. You can either go left or right. If you have the big key and a key, then you can go left first if you do not have a mirror. Since I don't have a mirror, I have a key, but I don't have a big key, I'm going to go right first, because I know that the big key is going to be somewhere here. Now, if you don't have a mirror, then if you do have a mirror, then you can actually check this bottom room first. But I'm going to save that last because I have to go through that room in order to get back to where I need to go in Palace of Darkness. You can get all these rupees if you want, if you need rupees. Okay, so I found the big key. Great. So now we're going to go back and make my way over to the Dark Maze. So in the Dark Maze, what you can do is you can throw that bomb down there. Grab the mirror shield, which is really good because the mirror shield allows me to block beams, which will make mimics in Ganon's Tower much easier. And bombs. Okay, so how many items is that? Is that 3 now? Is it 3 or 4? So I know that this chest is going to be a key, because you need a key in order to progress through the rest of Palace of Darkness. Alright. So, from here... go and hit that switch, and then all three of these pots here have hearts. There's more bombs here, and then if you have the can of Samare, you can hit that switch. You can use it to place a block on that switch, or you can just do it the normal way, which I'm going to have to do in this case. All these pots here have arrows, in case you need arrows. If you have a sword beam, then you can use the sword beam instead of arrows in order to hit that switch. Okay. Since I don't have full HP, it's a little bit unfortunate, but that's okay. So I like to have my sword out in this next room because I like to do this strat. If that turtle was in the correct position, then I actually would have hit him as well. So let's see if I can do it correctly. Just like that. That's how you do that strat really well. Now go and keep on going. Alright. So, Helmasaur. So there's a couple different ways to go about with Helmasaur. So what I like to do is I like to hold my sword out because it increases the hammer hitbox. So I can, it makes it easier to hit Helmasaur. The hard part is that when your sword is out, you move slower. Okay, so what happened there was he was shooting his fire, but when you break his mask as he's shooting his fire, it actually despawns the fireballs because the shatter pieces of the mask is a bunch of different sprites that the Super Nintendo just cannot handle. So right here, you can either hammer him 4 times up on the green gem, but it's really hard to do, so I like to just slash him a bunch of times, and it takes 8 slashes. You want to be careful because Helmasaur does do a lot of damage. He does 2 hearts of damage for every one of his attacks. Ooh. Alright, so I found the Titan's Mitts, finally. So, now that I found the Titan's Mitts, that does open up more of the Dark World. So what I'm going to do is, I'm actually going to go back to Death Mountain. And we are going to go over to the other side once again. Because there's actually... You want to try and explore areas that have multiple chests in them. And Death Mountain has lots of really good checks. Because most of the time, items that have... or locations that have lots of chests are very likely to have either really good items or items that are progression items. So as this block is moving, I did it wrong. As this block is moving, you can actually use the hook shot to go right through it. You go ahead and go through this, fall down here. Go up the ladder, or the steps. There's 2 chests right there. Okay, now before I go into this cave, I want to go over here and see what Turtle Rock has. Okay, Turtle Rock requires Quake, so we are actually good on medallions. because Mire is optional. So I'm not going to check what Mire has. Okay, there's a green potion there. Ooh, there's a Samaria. All right. Okay. So we go ahead and fall down again and see what's over here in this chest. And we got the mirror. Okay, so at this rate, we are technically what's known as Go mode. So what Go mode means is it means I am free to basically complete the rest of the game without needing to check anything else. So I am going to do that right now. But before I do that, you might notice I don't have Pegasus boots. And Desert Palace, in order to full clear Desert Palace, I technically need boots, but it's not required in order to complete the dungeon. Same thing with Ganon's Tower. Ganon's Tower technically requires boots in order to full clear it, but there are only one circumstance for both those dungeons where boots may be required. So, since I can basically complete every dungeon right now, the first thing I want to do is make sure that boots is not required. And the only way for me to check that is to see what's on the torch in Desert Palace. The map is on the torches, so that's a good step right now. That means boots is not required for now until we get to Ganon's Tower. So that means we go inside this room right here. Oh, I did that wrong. And we need to find the big key, because we need the big key in order to complete the rest of Desert Palace. We found the key. So now we just have to go this way. And by the way, if you need to explore Desert Palace, then there's only 2 items here. So, alright, so we found the big key. So, since I have the big key, I can actually leave right now. So, and to do that, I'm going to use the mirror and make my way out of here. And then make my way this way. So, I still don't have boots, but which means that the rest of the game is going to be really slow. But if you don't need boots, then it's not really worth trying to look for boots just to go really fast. So chances are I will probably find boots somewhere at some point. Maybe I won't find it by the end of this run, but we'll see. Okay. So, I can light up these 2 torches with the fire rod. You can also use the lamp as well. And since I have the fire rod out, land molas is going to be a little bit easier to deal with. It's a little bit hard, but okay. So let's finish off the fight with arrows. And basically, you just gotta read and react to land molas. So it's a really hard fight to do really well. And like I said, I will show off the rest of the locations that I didn't get to check later. At the end of the seed. So now we're gonna go to Ice Palace. And since I don't need to explore all of Ice Palace, then I can show you guys the fastest way of going through Ice Palace. Which is good because what I like to do, I like to save Ice Palace as one of my last dungeons if I'm on Go mode. because Ice Palace takes a very long time to explore in its entirety. Especially if you do not have the Cane of Samaria. So in this room, if you defeat all the penguins, you can get a chest. Ice Palace also has 3 items that you can get here. That might not be... Oh, it is. Okay, nice. Okay. So, in order to complete Ice Palace really quickly, this trick is very pivotal. So what you want to do here is you want to stand at the edge here, right around here, and then place a bomb, and then when Link's hat is just below this black line, then you're in the right spot to get boosted around the pegs. Just like that. So that sets up the rest of the dungeon so where you can actually complete the dungeon without needing the big key at all. These penguins go down in one hit, which is useful if you only have the Master Sword at this point. If you have the Tempered Sword, then it's a little bit easier to deal with those guys. If you defeat those Freezards, then you can get a chest out of that room, which is another check. And then if you have the big key, then you can blow up the hole on the left of that same room above, so you can fall on that other side and get that chest up there. That is if you have the big key. And then there's a chest if you keep going to the right and then go through a bunch of rooms in that room that I didn't go to. If you have the Cane of Samaria, then you can actually place a block on here without needing to move that block. Alright, and now we're gonna be fighting Cold Stare with, oh boy, 8 hearts. Or, no, not 8 hearts. Well, I have 8 hearts right now, but 10 hearts. So this might be a little scary. So we'll see what we can do here. Okay, that's one defeated. Whoa. Oh my god. Okay, okay. Oh my gosh, that is a really hard fight to do with just a Tempered Sword, as you can tell. Alright, next up is Swamp Palace. Maybe I should have done Swamp Palace next, but it's okay. Okay, so the way you go to Swamp Palace is you want to make sure you warp at this screen. You want to make sure the mirror transition is on the same screen as the water itself. So go ahead and mirror. Now, one thing I can show off since I have Mire is if you use the Mire as you're moving a block in any like cave-like area, then you can erase the block. So if the Mire transition is on the same screen as you drain the water, then you're able to keep the water filled up. So this is a... So you absolutely need the Mire. This is the only point of the game where the Mire is required. Otherwise, the Mire is required for a few other checks, if you still need to check items. So if you have bombs, then you can blow up this wall over here, and there's a chest. Now, Swamp Palace has 7 items that you can... Or, no. It's 6 items that you can check in Swamp Palace. It's the most amount of items that you can check in any main dungeon. However, if you're on Go mode, then Swamp Palace is actually really short. Just go and go through the dungeon like normal. Oh, and, you probably saw it, but there's that chest with the bumble wall. Alright. So, in Go mode, you can actually hookshot over here, grab this key, and then just complete the dungeon. You don't need to go to the left side at all, and you don't need the big key at all. You only need the big key in order to check what's inside that big key chest. Also in that room with all those spider enemies, if you move one of the blocks, then a chest will appear, which is another item. Also in the previous room, in the hallway, you can actually go down and there's 2 more chests. Oh my goodness. This might be a little bit painful with just a Master Sword. If you have the temper turn, those guys go down 1 hit. And then if for some reason you're coming here with the fighter sword, you want to switch to hammer. Now additionally, what I like to do is I like to try and make Swamp Palace last. Unless Tower of Hera is required. If Tower of Hera is required, then I will try my best to make that one last, because that is where Ganon's Tower is in the Dark World. But in this seed, since Hera is optional, then I'll make Turok last, and it is going to be my last dungeon before entering Ganon's Tower. So we're back up this way. That's not good. And if you go ahead and make your way this way, make sure you be careful with all the dead rocks. Lift up this rock with the Titan's Mitt, and then hammer this peg, and then this peg in that order. And since I know that Quake is required for this dungeon, it is required in the normal game, but I promise you, Quake is not always required in Randomizer for this dungeon. So Turtle Rock has 4 items that you can get in case you need to explore it. But since in Go mode, all I need is 1 key and a big key. go inside here. I found bombos, which is actually a pretty good find. So go and light up these torches with the fire on. And if you have the hook shot... Aw. Hook into that torch, fall down in order to make your way through this roller room. Now if I had enough magic, which I don't, then I can actually use the cape and go through these rollers. Okay. So I found my big key. So that means I can just go through the rest of the dungeon, unless I don't find another key later on. But I'm very likely to get another key as I go through the dungeon like normal. Okay, since I have a Master Sword, the Pokies are going to be really hard to beat. So I'm going to use the magic rod, or the fire rod. Alright, this room sucks. Ooh, nice, okay. That's really scary. So if you need arrows, this middle pot will contain arrows. So I'm gonna go here, and I'm gonna get the fire rod out once again because I have just a fire rod to work, or I have just a Master Sword to work off of. So I'm gonna get a key from here, and then I'm actually going to leave because, like, there is a chest over there, but you're wasting a key. Hold on. You're wasting a key if you check what's inside that chest on go mode. So that means I have to hope that later on I find another key somewhere. So you need the big key in order to enter this room. There's also the Mirror Shield key. Or the Mirror Shield big chest, where the Mirror Shield usually is. But I am going to hope that it is not necessary. Okay, so now I have to hope that the there are 4 more chests that I can check for an extra key. And I have to hope that one of them is a key. Very rarely it is not. So let's see what happens. Ooh. Okay, this is a problem. Alright, let's try this again here. Okay, there we go. And that room is really hard without boots. But since I have the Mirror Shield, I can just do this. Oh, there's my boots! Oh my gosh. Heck yes. Oh boy. Okay, there we go. Please be a key. Alright, great. It is a key. Alright. So that means I don't need to backtrack and go to all those other chests that I miss for a small key. Like I said, very rarely it's none of those chests would be a small key. And if you have 2 keys, by the time you get the big key, that you can actually skip the laser room entirely. It's not very common, though. Okay, now, unfortunately, this is where things get really hard. Because I don't have half magic, and I also have just a Master Sword. So we'll see what happens here. Alright, so with just the Master Sword, what I like to do is I like to take care of the Ice Guy first, because the Ice Guy likes to turn the floor into ice, and it's really annoying to move around. And with the Master Sword slashes, it's going to take quite a lot of hits to beat Trinix with just Master Sword slashes. So the most efficient way, and it's really tedious and really difficult, is using the hammer. If you're precise enough, then you can actually get 3 hammer hits in per cycle. Okay. Alright, now for the Ice Head. The Ice Head's really hard. Once you defeat one of the heads, then the other one likes to move really fast. Okay, hold up. I'm gonna wait until... Okay. There we go. Oh my goodness. Okay, that took me a lot less tries than I thought I was going to. I thought I was going to struggle a long time with that, because that is usually a really hard strat to do. If I had half magic, then it's a little bit easier, because then you have a lot more magic to work with. So you can either hammer him or use Master Sword slashes. It takes less hits to beat him with the hammer, but a lot more hits with the Master Sword. I'm gonna try and use a combination of both. Okay, very nice. Alright, so now all that's left is to do Ganon's Tower. And I have only 11 hearts, no half magic, and just a green mail. Now, since I have boots, that means that what I have to hope that doesn't happen in Ganon's Tower won't matter. Also, since I have boots, okay, so what I'm doing right here is I'm in a state called super speed. So the way this works is you press A the frame after you release your spin attack. And I actually can't use my sword right now, so if you can't use your sword, then that means you got super speed. So then what you do is you go onto stairs, and then you can move really fast. And you can cancel it by dashing. Now, since I'm actually going to go back into this cave and get the Tempered Sword, because Ganon's Tower is going to be really difficult without or with just the Master Sword. It's possible to complete Ganon's Tower with just a Master Sword, and also just defeat Ganon with just a Master Sword, but if you know anything about doing that, it's a really difficult process. So I'm going to save the effort and get myself the Tempered Sword. If I have found the Tempered Sword somewhere else, then I wouldn't go back and get it. But I feel like the time save with the Tempered Sword compared to the Master Sword is worth it. Alright, so the goal of Ganon's Tower in Randomizer is to find the big key and get a key as soon as you can. So what I do is I like to go to this side first and open up these 2 chests just to see what's inside. Okay, ether. So I got a key, which is good. You can keep going and go through right side if you like, but I like doing right side second because right side takes longer and there's less checks. Some people like it, but I don't think the reward is worth it. Okay, so in this seed, the red rupee, there's a red rupee on the torch. So the big key can be on the torch, and if you haven't found boots up until this point, that's when boots is required. Anyway, so there's a key right there. Hammer these 2 pegs. Go this way. And if you haven't found the big key yet, then you want to go in here, in this room. And there it is. And just for fun, I like to see what's in these other chests. To see if I can find anything that can help me through the rest of this dungeon. And I found half magic. Okay, that's actually pretty good. And then I can just mirror. If you need to leave and keep going, then you have to defeat all the Stalfos. But we're gonna go and keep on going. So, all the right side first checkers are definitely gonna have a huge, painful struggle. Alright, so now we just go ahead and go through Ganon's Tower like normal. There is nothing substantial that is worth pointing out as we climb up. If you have the mirror shield, these mimics are definitely easier to take care of. Also, if you know this game casually, then you know that ordinarily you need silver arrows, but you actually do not need silver arrows. If you have silver arrows, then it can save time, but it is not required in order to finish the game. Now, there are 3 chests that you can check on the way to the very top of Ganon's Tower, and for the purposes of this video, I will open up those chests just to see what's in them. Otherwise, normally I would not do that. Alright, using one more spin. Okay, so if for whatever reason you need to, there's a magic drop over here, there's a heart right here, there's bombs, you need bombs, and there's arrows. Okay, so in this room, depending on if you have half magic or not, I'm gonna show the method if you do not have half magic. If you do not have half magics, then what you do is you get out the lamp, light up this torch, light up that torch, light up this torch. Very quickly, head over here, switch to Fire Rod. If you need magic, then there's a magic drop right there. And then, if you still need magic, then there's a magic drop right in here. Now, since I do have half magic, then I can just use the Fire Rod all the way. So just go ahead and do this. And it makes avoiding this fire bar easier. And just like that. And since I don't need that magic refill with half magic, I can just go straight to the stairs. And then light up these torches with the Fire Rod. Okay, if you don't need to check any more items, then you can just go straight into this door. Okay, and then if you do, for whatever reason, then you can open up these chests. And I found the Book of Medora. Now, if for some reason you need a key, then you can defeat one of those Helmosaurs and get a key from them. Go ahead and blow up that wall. And then if you need magic, there's a magic refill here. And then you can go straight into this next door. Or if you still need to check stuff, then there's a chest right there. Then we go ahead and fight Moldorm. Just like that. And then so we call that chest the validation chest. It's kind of a meme, because most of the time, by the time you get to that chest, you really have no reason to open it. But some people like to do it. It barely takes any time to check to see what's inside it. In this case, I got myself a heart. Alright, so Aghanim is really annoying to beat. Ooh, that's a pretty good pattern. That's a 4th hit. Okay, very good. Alright, 3 cycles is actually a really good fight, so I'm really happy with that. Alright, so now the Ganon fight. So, you'll notice I don't have silver arrows. So I'm gonna show off the fight without silver arrows. So the casual viewers might be thinking, how am I gonna beat Ganon without silver arrows? And it's really simple. But the thing is, I only have green mail and very few hearts. But hopefully we can do it. Okay, whatever you say. Should be enough hits to one cycle the second phase. It is. Alright, great. Also, something that's worth noting is that Ganon warps a random number of times in the regular game. In Randomizer, everybody, if you're racing with other people, you'll get the same number of warps, unless you die. Then it becomes random. So it takes 12 hits with Temper Sword for the first and second phase. If you have Gold Sword, it takes 6 hits instead. Alright, so now we're getting ready for phase 4. So phase 4 is where things get a little bit precise, but it's not too bad. It takes getting a feel for things if you don't have silver arrows. Because what will happen is... Did you find the arrows in my tower? So if you don't have silver arrows, Ganon will hint you as to where the silver arrows would be. So what I like to do, you don't need to do this, but it makes it easier for me, is I like to slash him in order to stun him. And then you can use the fire rod or the lamp. I like to use lamp in order to make setting up torch glitch easier. It's faster to use fire rod because it saves a menu. But as soon as the last tile goes out, I just mash lamp. And I now have what's known as torch glitch. So the way torch glitch works is if you light up the left torch before the right goes out, then the right will never go out, and this saves time and magic. So then what I do is I can switch the fire rod now, because now things will be a little bit easier. And I am spin attacking him right as he teleports, and the timing is very precise. So you have to get a feel for the timing for it. Very nice. So it takes 12 spins, and for every cycle, and by cycle I mean like when the left torch goes out, you can get 2 or 3 hits in. You want to try and aim for 3 hits. And in order to get the 3rd hit, that involves getting a spin right after lighting up the torch, without letting him teleport. And sometimes depending on like the position of Ganon in relation to where you're at by the time you light up the torch, it can be kind of awkward. So at this point now, I have completed the seed. So at the end, you'll get a really funny message. In this case, it says, "I'd buy that for a rupee," and then that's the end of the seed. So that is Randomizer, and I did say that I'm gonna go back at the very end and check out those other items that I didn't get to explore. So I'm gonna let the credits roll because that's when the game saves for good. It's now been 3 days since I have played that seed earlier, and yeah, so like promised, we are gonna go back and show you guys some of the other checks that are available. So one of them is by heading over here. If you have Pegasus boots, then you can go this way and bonk on these rocks over here. And I got a red boomerang. Okay, so the other option that's available as well, if you have Pegasus boots as well as Titan's mitts, then you can go this way, and you can lift up these rocks over here, or you can slash this bush and then lift up these rocks, and then you want to dash into this tombstone. Now, there is a way to open up this tombstone without needing Titan's mitts. But anyway, after you open up this tombstone, we can go ahead and check to see what's in here. And in here, we got some more bombs. So if you don't have Titan's mitts, then you can't lift up these rocks. So what you do, if you have boots, then you can bonk on these rocks over here, and then you can slash this bush, and then you want to mirror around these spots, and then you can bonk into this tombstone in the light world without needing the Titan's mitts. Okay, I think I forgot another thing while I was around here, and that is over to this spot. By the way, this is being recorded right at the very end of the tutorial, so don't worry. But you go ahead and mirror around here, go inside this cave, and then all 4 of these pots here on the left will be bombs, and then all 4 pots on the right will be all hearts. Then head over here, and then we just get more bombs on top of all the bombs that we can already collect here in this room. Okay, so if you flute to 4, which is of course Link's house, then you can make your way to the Dark World. And this check requires Mire, Book of Medora, and Master Sword at the minimum in terms of your sword upgrade. Because if you go and head this way, and then go ahead and mirror all the way over here to this spot, then we can go ahead and check the Bombos tablet. And the Bombos tablet will contain just 10 bombs. And then while you're around here, if you haven't explored the desert area, then you can hop off this ledge and start exploring the desert. Now, most of the time in randomizers, whenever I go to Skull Woods, after I get whatever's in the big key chest, after the mummy room, then I will go over here and fall down, and then check all the checks in these couple of rooms. But if I need to go to the big chest, then which I didn't in this seed because I didn't need to. If I have the hook shot, then I can actually hook up there. Or if I have bombs, then you can actually do a bomb jump across this pit. But since I have hook shot, I'm just gonna go and hook across. You can actually hook across these rocks, and then if you blow up the wall over here, and then you can pull this switch, and then you can go ahead and open up this big chest, which the big chest is going to have the big key in this seed. So I'm not able to see what's inside there. And then if you need to get out, then you can either bonk across the pit like this, or you can hook shot across the statue like this. Okay, the next check is right on top of Death Mountain. So if you go ahead and make your way, this one requires Book of Medora and Master Sword minimum. So you can check the Ether Tablet. And then while we're around here, I can show you guys if you need to check Tile Room. You probably know how to check Tile Room if you've played regular Link to the Past, but in case you don't for some reason, then what you do is you want to go up this way. You can avoid the dongos and the Moldorm. And there's a couple of ways to go about with the Tile Room. There's a couple of different ways to go about with the Tile Room. So you can, of course, you can wait around and just avoid the tiles. What I like to do when I'm doing this is I kind of just hang around the bottom and let the tiles fly at me, and then just move side to side as they fly at me. It's not super hard to avoid them. And then at the last tile, just throw a pot at that tile in order to save a little bit of time. Now, another trick that you can do is if you have the bow, then you gotta first get all the tiles out of the way. Shoot an arrow at the switch, and then you can actually stand on top of the pegs. And while you're on top of the pegs, you just can't get you can get iframes for as long as you're standing on the pegs, which makes it free to avoid the tiles, because the tiles are you're never going to get damaged by the tiles. This is a nice part to like rest your hands, as the way this game works is you're always going to be pressing buttons actively with very minimal downtime. But the upside about having those pegs up is that in this room you can save time because you don't have to hit that switch up there. So you just got to go ahead and just avoid the Moldorms and make your way to this room. Now, the other method that you can do is with bombs, and I think the bombs method is the easiest amongst them. So what you do is you do the same thing as before, get rid of all the pots, except for one. Lay a bomb on the switch, and then just go ahead and chill out until all the tiles are flown at you. And then at the last tile, throw the pot at the tile. And again, you can save, and then again, you don't have to hit that switch up there. Now in this room, if you have the lamp but not the fire rod, then all you gotta do is just light up all these torches. With the fire rod though, now if you need magic, then there's magic here, but then there's also a full magic refill here. So with the fire rod, you can do this, and then this, and then the chest will appear. And that would be the compass. I know that was a compass because I already found all my checks in Hera. Alright, so we are back in Swamp Palace. We're going to re-explore Swamp since we were on Go mode when we were here. So I didn't get to show you guys all of it. So, Swamp Palace without Go mode, well, first off, that chest right there was already open. That chest is always going to be a key, because you need to get past that locked door. So you can go ahead and open up this. That's the boss key right away. And if you have the boss key early, that's actually a really good thing. Finding the boss key, if you need to explore Swamp early, then, or if you need to explore Swamp in its entirety, then you want to hope that you get the big key as early as you can. Because if you find the big key late, then you have to backtrack to the big key chest. And it is really slow to do that. So since I found the big key, we're gonna go ahead and check out all these items here. So that's just arrows. Again, we already completed Swamp, so I have no need to know what these items are. Here's another chest right there. Want to make your way this way? Grab that key. And if you have the hook shot, then you can do a bit of a shortcut, and that's by hooking onto this pot and then making your way this way without having to go all the way around that ledge. You're going to fill up the water in that room. So I'm going to go to the other side. You want to make sure you hit the pegs again on your way out, otherwise you're going to get stuck. When you get to the chest that's normally supposed to be the big key. So we're going to make our way up this way. And so if you have the hook shot, then I like to go to this room, to this side first. And ooh, I got blue mail, nice. And then you can hook across, and that saves you from having to go all the way around. If you don't have a hook shot, then you're gonna have to go all the way around again, and then fall down to the other side in order to get the that check where I got the bug net. Okay, so we go and make our way back, and if you haven't found the big key, if you found the big key just now, then you can open up this chest right here. Otherwise, go ahead and hook your way across. Okay, so back into this room. So you can go down this way. And there's two more chests right there. Okay, so normally whenever you get a heart container, you only get filled up one heart for the extra heart container. However, there's only one heart container that will fill up all your hearts. And that is what we call a sanctuary heart container, because in the normal game, whenever you pick up that heart container in the sanctuary, that is like the only free heart container, and every other heart container does not fill up your hearts until after you complete the dungeon. And the sanctuary heart container happens to be the only heart container that just fills up all your hearts. So if you need health, there's hearts in both of these pots. And then if you found the big key in one of those chests, then you can actually go up these stairs. Now, I don't know what causes this, and I don't know how to prevent this. Oh, I actually did it. Okay. I actually don't know. Usually, in most cases, you'll actually be in a glitch state to where you'll actually go back down the stairs. And if that happens, just go back up the stairs, and then you'll be fine. I actually don't know how I didn't do it the first time. But anyway, if you found the big key, then just go back down, hook shot across, and then open up the big chest. Okay. One last check in Swamp Palace. Since we already fought Argus already. And that is by moving this block over here and open up that chest. Alright, I'm back in Ice Palace. So now we're gonna go ahead and show you guys the entirety of Ice Palace, which is a massive pain in the butt. Most of the time, most people don't like it casually, and in Randomizer, if you have to full clear it, then, I mean, some people like it. Some people like full clearing Ice Palace. So if that's, but like I don't like it because it takes a long time. So like I said last time, there are 3 items that you can get in Ice Palace. So. And I didn't get any checks. Ooh, gold sword. Nice. Having gold sword will make these penguins much easier to beat. Okay, so make sure the switch is red, because then these pigs will be down if you intend on full clearing and without doing Ice Palace Bomb Jump. So you can actually hook shot across that pot, and you will not get hit by that fire bar. That pot there is magic if you need magic. So then, instead of going to the left, we're gonna go to up. We're gonna go up here. You go ahead and fall on down, and make your way this way. Okay, this room. I'm gonna show how to go through this room with and without hookshot. If you decide to come into Ice Palace without hookshot, there is a way to full clear it without hookshot, even without the Ice Palace bomb jump, and that is a different kind of bomb jump. So what you do, of course, is you just gotta go ahead and hookshot all these guys out of your way, hookshot across this block, and then make your way this way. Now, if for some reason you're coming in here without hookshot, which at that point you're probably going out of logic, I think, because I don't think you'll expect yourself to find hookshot in Ice Palace. But anyway, what you want to do is you want to stand really close to the edge of the pit, right around here, I believe, and then place a bomb, stand right here, and then you'll get boosted across. But again, I believe this is going out of logic if you decide to go that route. But yeah. So now when we get to this room, go ahead and hook across so you don't get hit by the spikes. Then you go ahead and hammer these pegs here, grab that key, avoid the bunny beam, avoid the Stalfos. That switch, which will then give you this chest, and that's the big key. So again, you don't need the big key in order to beat the dungeon. So sometimes you can find the big key pretty late, which would make things kind of painful for backtracking, because this is a pretty backtrack-heavy dungeon if you're trying to explore this dungeon in its entirety. But I found the shovel, which then opens up another check that I can show you guys, which I'm sure you guys probably know what it is. If you've played enough randomizer seeds. So go ahead and open up, so go ahead and lift up that switch right there, which will then reveal that chest, and that is another check. And now we are back into this sensor room. Now in here, there is another check in this room. So first you want to go ahead and blow up this wall. Now, there are two options here. If you have the fire rod, then you can just fire rod both these freezers. Or if you have bombos, then you can obliterate these two enemies. Obviously, fire rod is faster if you have it, because the animation for bombos takes a long time. But I just want to show up bombos at least one time. There's a key. Now, if you have the big key, then go ahead and fall down this way to this hole, so that way you can get to that big chest. And now, if you found the big key sometime later and you need to backtrack, then what you can do is you can actually... oh, I did it a little bit too late, but well... Alright, I'll show the loop around later. So, if you still need to check items, then what you want to do is you want to go to the right over here. This pot will have a key. Then go ahead and make your way this way. Oh. Gotta go ahead and avoid the fire bar. And this right here is another chest, and I believe that's the final check. Since I already fought Cold Stare. But ideally, that should be your last chest. Assuming that chest is not the big key, the big key, where you need to go back and get the big key chest. Okay, now, I believe the blocks have reset by now. Okay, they have. Okay, so then I can show this off. All right, I got 2 chances here. Nice. So that is how you go through these blocks without needing to try and blow up the left pit and fall down to it in order to get to this chest, if you need to. Okay, now, since you've checked all the checks here, and we're gonna go ahead and make our way over here. So this is where you need the big key if you're gonna full clear this dungeon. Real quick, if you need HP, and these pegs are down, then you can actually fall down this pit, and you'll actually fall down the pots on the bottom, which will then give you a bunch of fairies. Okay. So, if you have Samaria, then all you gotta do is place a Samaria block on this, and then head on down. If you don't have Samaria, then what you want to do is you want to go this way. This requires an extra key. So, if you haven't found an extra key by this point, which, by the way, Cold Seer can have a key, which would make the process extremely painful. Go inside this room, hit this switch, then go back up, and then if you need to, you can fall down and get some fairies if you want. Okay, now, you can push these blocks downwards, but you cannot push these blocks. Like, you can push this down, but you won't be able, when you go back to the next floor, you will not be able to move the block onto the switch. So instead, you do have to go do this whole loop around all over again. So if you intend to full clear Ice Palace, it is recommended that you have Cane of Samaria. And then finally, now you're on this side. So then what you do is just move this block, fall them down, and then move this, and then you can go ahead and finish the dungeon off. And since I already fought Cold Stare, I'm gonna go ahead and leave. Alright, back in Turtle Rock. I've explored most of it last time, but there are definitely checks that I haven't explored. Okay, so back in this room. Alright, so last time, I don't have a key, so I can't actually check it at all. But if you keep going this room, and then you defeat that Pokey, then you'll get a key from the Pokey, and then you can actually, if you have a key, then you can actually go inside that locked door. And in that locked door... Hold up. Okay. Will be that chest over there to the right. But since I can't get to it, I'm not gonna bother with it. Okay, now if we go inside this room... So last time we went to the right in order to progress, in order to continue through the dungeon, but if you go this way instead, then there's another check. This check is technically not part of Turtle Rock. So you go this way, and then right around here, just go ahead and use the Mire. And then go ahead and slash all these mimics out of your way. And we get some rupees. That is another check if you really need to find items still. Unfortunately, this one's like kind of out of the way. This requires Mire and Hammer. You don't need silver arrows in order to beat these guys. Yeah. Now, through here, this also gives us another check, and this one is going to be the compass. Okay, so that means that small chest that I am not able to get to will be a key. Next up is Misery Mire. Now, we haven't been to Misery Mire at all in this seed, and that's because Misery Mire was completely optional. We had basically no reason to go in Misery Mire. The first thing that you saw me do was I actually lifted up the rock from the bottom, and that sets up some stuff later in Misery Mire. So, for now, if you need to check, there is this over here. So we got 2 chests over here. In this case, we got 2 heart containers. And now for Mire itself, since last time that we checked, I believe, I actually don't know what it needed. Okay, it needed bombos. In the regular game, you need ether, but of course in Randomizer, similarly to throw a rock, it requires a random medallion. Okay, now I don't have full HP, so I am not going to be able to show off a really cool strat in the second room. But I can, since we never went to Mire at all, I can show off the entirety of Mire. Oh man. Okay. So the first thing you want to do is you want to head this way. You can either go to the left, to the right first, or you can go up here first. It doesn't really matter. At least to me, it doesn't really matter. I like to go up here first. Just see what we got here. You do need the big key and a key in order to go mode this dungeon if you're on go mode. I'm gonna get this key right here, and then there's also a check right there, which normally you're supposed to get on the way back to this room, but I like to get it early in Randomizer. And I got a heart piece out of that. So Mire has 2 items that you can get, by the way. So if you're on go mode and you have the big key, then you can just go inside this room over here. Just grab that key. Gonna light up these torches. If you have the fire rod, then just light up these 2 torches with the fire rod. Hold your sword out so you don't get hit by that tile. And there's the big key. So, since I have the big key, I could go back out this way and continue through and make my way up this way. Through here. And into this room. And then through here. And then go inside this warp portal, which will basically take me to the end of the dungeon if I keep going. Now, if you still haven't found the big key, or you're still looking for checks, then what you do is, instead of going back to the right, you want to go ahead and make your way, keep going down. Over here is a full magic refill if you need magic. And this room, if you shoot a fire rod while the blocks are moving, then you can actually shoot the fire rod particles through the blocks. Okay. So then you go ahead and fall down this hole. Keep on going. Alright, so over here, another check that you can get is by heading up this way. Okay, so in this case I got a key out of that. So in this room, if you have the hook shot, then you can hook shot across this block over here. Or if you don't, then you just gotta go all the way around. powder. Alright, so having powder opens up an additional check. Alright, so now we're over here. So what we want to do is that pot will have a heart if you defeat that Wizrobe before it shoots its energy shot. So you want to make sure you defeat that wizard quickly if you want to get a heart out of this. Also, if you need health and you have powder, I'm sure you pretty much know this, but you can powder any anti-fairy and it turns into fairies. Now, if you need magic, then over here is magic. And then we're gonna go ahead and continue through the rest of the dungeon. So, earlier I picked up those rocks from below, and that actually sets up some stuff in this dungeon. Okay, so what I did there was I dashed and used the Samaria block while I was setting up the dash, and that actually manipulates some stuff in the game. So you go and keep on going. And then in this room, why didn't that work? Okay. So for some reason, I did something wrong in the process of that, but what I was trying to do was a trick called Spooky Mire glitch. So in that case, the Spooky failed. Then I just gotta go up here, make sure that the switch is red. And then I'm gonna go ahead and blow up this wall over here. Hit that switch so we can get across this room. Hit that switch, and then we go and keep on going. And then this room. Hang around, wait for that fire snake to pass on by. Alright, Vitreous. So, the fastest way to beat Vitreous requires a ton of intentional damage. And so, the way this fight works, since I have Gold Sword, it's gonna be much easier, but... Alright. That's how the fight goes right there on the first phase. So you want to take damage through the slime. The slime does 1 heart damage. And you also want to be careful because you can get hit by the eyeballs, and the eyeballs do 4 hearts of damage if you get hit by them. I'm gonna go ahead and do that again here. So what I do here is I go all the way up to that little circle thing, face left and then slash, and then go a little bit into the slime, and then on the second spin I just go towards the middle but also towards the left, and then on the third spin I go to the right. Now if I had the Master Sword, I would actually do a third spin attack on the left and then switch to the right. And now, after your third spin attack, you're going to have leftover eyeballs. Just go ahead and finish them off with either slashes or arrows. Ideally arrows if you have Tempered Sword, but since I have Gold Sword and Gold Sword does a lot of damage, then I just use the slashes. And if you're fast enough, then you can defeat all the eyeballs before Vitreous does his lightning attack, and that's what we call the 0 cycle. So just go ahead and do shoot 8 arrows at Vitreous, or if you have silver arrows, I think it takes 2 silver arrows, and then that's Vitreous. Okay, so now that we're done with Mire, another check while we're here, and usually in Randomizer, I like to check this before entering Mire, because I like to check overworld stuff before going to dungeons. But here's another check that you can take a look at, and that's his rupees. But if you want whatever is there, then you can either do the block puzzle like this, It's really not that hard. Or if you have the mirror, then you can just simply mash Y as you're pushing the blocks, and it deletes all the blocks. Okay, so since we have shovel, you can go from Kakariko, you can head this way, make your way up this way, and in Randomizer you can switch between flute and shovel, dig up that spot, and ooh, we got a mushroom! So that is an additional check. Okay, I forgot another check while I was around here. Once again, this is being recorded at the very end of the tutorial, but if you have the mirror, then you can go to this corner here, right by where you talk to Flute Boy in the Dark World. Go ahead and mirror around this spot, and then you can go inside this cave. And in this cave, we just got 300 rupees. Sometimes it can be good, so that's another check. Okay, so I believe I never checked this, but in Dark World Kakariko, if you have the Titan's Mitts, then you can actually rescue this frog over here. And then, you can go ahead and make your way this way. This requires a Titan's Mitts. Now, if you don't have the mirror, then, assuming you haven't beaten Aghanim, then all you gotta do is just save and quit, and you'll spawn at the light world, and then just take the frog over to this spot. So then what you do after that, well actually first off, before I actually send him back home, if you have the hammer, then you can hammer all these pegs. And what I'm doing here is I'm doing what's known as item dashing, and that is by pressing the item and dash at the same frame. And this allows you to use the item and dash at the same time, which is really helpful for breaking all these pegs all at the same time. In order to item dash, you need to have a sword. So if you don't have a sword, then you just gotta hammer all of them one by one by walking. And that is a heart piece. But if you have the hammer and then you can just hammer dash through that pot and get that heart piece. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and take the frog back home. And you'll turn into a swordsmith. Then what you do is leave and come back, talk to him again, pay 10 rupees, and he'll give you a random item. In my case, is a heart container. Now, additionally, after you rescue the swordsmith, then the purple chest will appear here in the Dark World. Just go and take it with you. You cannot dash while you have it with you. If you don't have hammer, but you have the mirror, then you can actually mirror this way. So that way you can bypass the hammer requirement in order to check Mad Batter. Now, in order to check Mad Batter, you need powder. So you can drop the chest off there. It'll still be there once you come back. And then just go ahead and sprinkle magic powder onto Mad Batter. And you'll get a heart piece. Or whatever random item you get. Just go ahead and take the chest with you. And then, after that, you can go ahead and flute over to 7. If you don't have flute, then you can save and quit and the chest will still be with you, I think. If not, then you just have to go all the way around and go on a long walk with the purple chest until you get to this guy. So if you flute to 2, now that we have the mushroom, and you can alternate between powder and mushroom. Drop off the mushroom at the witch. And then it takes 1 screen transition for whatever the witch converts the mushroom into, which in this case she converts it into red rupees. Now, I haven't explored all of Ganon's Tower, so I'm going to show you all the checks in Ganon's Tower. So most of the time, your objective is to find the big key as fast as you can in Ganon's Tower. So, now I found the big key relatively early here last time. So, now we're gonna show off the rest of Ganon's Tower. So we're going to go ahead and make our way this way. So last time we found the big key up in this room. Now, let's say that I didn't find the big key in this room. Then what you do is go ahead and destroy all the enemies and then make your way out of here. And then now you're gonna be wondering, what do I do? You can either bonk across this rock, or you can hookshot this rock. If I do it correctly, yeah, that like that. You can get magic there. Continue hooking across, and then you want to go ahead and bonk from that block right there in order to make your way this way. Then just go ahead and hookshot either the left or right. And then you go ahead and make your way over to this room right here. Ooh, I found silver arrows. So if I found silver arrows, if I kept going and found silver arrows there, then I would have made Ganon a lot easier. But obviously, if you haven't found silver arrows yet, up until this point, it is not worth trying to look for it, unless you happen to find it on the way. Alright, so there's a couple different ways to go about with this part. You can either use the boomerang, like that, or you can use Samaria or bombs. If you're using the Samaria, then you can just do that. And then similarly with this next room right here, let's go and throw the boomerang downward, and then very quickly menu to hookshot, and then you'll make your way past the pegs. Now with Samaria, just like that, and then you can go ahead and just hookshot the key. It's a little bit faster that way, and then continue onwards. What I like to do here is I like to bonk over these fire snakes. Only the front. One thing to keep in mind of with fire snakes is only the front of them will hurt you. You can go right through like the second half of the fire snakes, and you'll not get hit. Okay, so go and keep on going. You want to go to the left portal. And then go and then blow up this wall over here. And once again, all this is assuming you haven't found the big key up until this point. Dash into this spot over here, which will open up these 4 chests. Alright, so then go and keep on going into this portal. Go inside this portal. And this portal. Alright. So you can actually bonk over that portal right there if you stand at the right spot, which is what I did there. And then same thing right there, you can bonk over that pot in order to get to this spot. Alright. If you have powder, then you can just get rid of this guy. And then over here is another check. Alright. Now we're gonna go and fight Ice Armos. With silver arrows, Armos Knights will go down in 1 hit. Just like that. If you don't have silver arrows and you fight Ice Armos with just regular arrows, it can be a little bit painful. Okay, so if you haven't found the big key up until this point, at this point you probably want to mirror, because if you found the big key, then you can check the big chest if you really want to, But assuming you haven't found the big chest, then you probably just want a mirror, because you haven't found the big chest, so you can't check the big chest at all. So, assuming you either haven't found the big key, or you are a right side Ganon's Tower lover, then you can go ahead and make your way to the right. And so I already checked these two chests. These two chests are usually what I like to explore first. So what you do is you make your way, you use the Cane of Samaria on that switch to make your way this way. Okay, so some people, they like to check Tile Room, which is this room, last. It is beneficial if the big key is not in Tile Room, which obviously you don't really have a way of knowing that. If you do decide to check Tile Room first, then all you gotta do is just wait around this room. Wait for the tiles. Avoid the Wall Master too. You can get rid of this Anti-Fairy if you have powder, but you don't need to defeat the Anti-Fairy. All you need to worry about are the tiles and the Wall Master. Okay. So, that is how you get this chest. So this is the reason why some people will check Tile Room last, because if that chest does not contain the big key, then you're losing out on progressing onwards when you could have found the big key in other chests later on in right side. Now, if this chest was the big key, then I would have wasted all the time checking every other chest except for this one, which is why I don't like checking Tile Room last. So anyway, if you still haven't found the big key, then you just gotta go ahead and keep on going. And this is where things get really painful. This is why I personally do not like checking right side at all, because these next set of rooms are much harder, much slower, and also just the entirety of right side just have a lot less checks. So what you do is you go and light up this torch. Light up that torch. You want to light up all the torches really quickly, by the way. Light up that. And then very quickly go inside this door over here. Now we get to this room. What you do here is you can either use the Cane of Samaria and throw it across over there, or you can use bombs. I like to use the Cane of Samaria because I think it's more reliable that way. You can get rid of the Gibdos if you want. And then go ahead and repeat the process. Just like that. And let's see. We got bombs and magic here if you need any of that. And then here we have 4 more chests. So you can check this. You want to check the bottom ones first. Because if you check... Okay, you want to check this last, because that happens if you open up that chest specifically. Then you want to go and keep on going. And then, if you go ahead and, that right there's a key, which you need in order to go inside here. Okay, so then you go and keep on going. Those are hearts if you need hearts. Oh gosh. I have not done this room in an extremely long time. Oh god! The tiles are collapsing. So yeah, make sure you don't spend too much time here. I guess if you have cape, then this room is made easier, because you can just go through all this. But if you don't... Okay, there we go. That's a little bit painful, but yeah, if you have the cape or Cane of Burna going into this section, then I think it's easier. So then you go and make your way this way, and what? Oh god, I have not done this in so long. Okay, I guess that works too. Okay, so then this room, you can either light up this torch, or you can just go straight through like this. And then here we are in this room, where you should be familiar. Oh yeah, I forgot to show off that if you do have boots, and you want to go to the library to get whatever's in the library, then all you gotta do is just bonk into the bookshelf and get your item. Okay, now, finally, the very last thing is Castle Dungeon. Now, Castle Dungeon is typically done pretty early in a seed, where if you have ran out of options to access Dark World for the first time, so if you have the Moon's Pearl, but you don't have a hammer or a power glove, then you're probably left with going to Castle Dungeon. Now, to access Castle Dungeon, you need either Cape or the Master Sword. So what you want to do is you want to go this way. And if you have Cape, then all you gotta do is use the Cape and go through the barrier. But if you have the Master Sword, just slash the barrier and then progress onwards. And now, in Castle Dungeon does not have any checks at all. Every chest in Castle Dungeon are all keys. Which is why you never want to try and go to Castle Dungeon if you can help it. So, in this room, if you need rupees, then there is this pot right here. This is what we call the suicide pot, because it is really hard to get that pot right there. And if you don't need rupees, then all you gotta do is just go up this way, go around that guard if you need to, and then just dash right through. Okay, so this room right here is another somewhat painful room to do. If you don't have the boomerang, then what you do is just throw 2 pots at this guy if he's going down, and then throw 2 pots at the key guard. Now, if this guard is going sideways, then all you gotta do is just throw 2 pots at this guy without having to worry about this guy at all. Now, if you do have the boomerang, then all you gotta do is, well, you can just stun him if he's in the way, and then just throw 2 pots at the key guard, and then just use the boomerang to get the key. I think, okay, hookshot does not work. So if you have the boomerang, then that is one way to do it. Now, if the second guy goes straight up and down, then you have a free room. And then this part right there is always arrows. So let me keep on going. Yeah. So we're coming up to Aghanim, and everybody knows that Aghanim is pure RNG. The first hit is always an energy shot. Attacks 2, 3, and 4 is 50% between an energy shot and a blue ball. And then the 5th attack is a lightning attack. He takes 6 hits and the cycle repeats itself until he takes 6 hits and he's done. Now in Randomizer, when you're racing people in Randomizer, then you'll get the same amount of blue balls. But the number of blue balls is random for each seed. So far I have 0 blue balls, and it'll probably be a 0 blue balls seed. But we'll see. got one. Oh, I got two. Okay, so I know I got three because his next attack is going to be an energy shot. So, if you haven't gotten Dark World access, then this is your only other way of accessing the Dark World. Now, the thing that makes defeating Aghanim worth it is if a required item is at Lumberjack. So if you go ahead and make your way to this screen, go ahead and dash into this tree, and then fall on down. If you need health, then up here are some fairies. And then just go ahead and make your way out of here. Now the other thing that makes defeating Aghanim somewhat beneficial is after you defeat Aghanim, then you activated a warp spot in Hyrule Castle. So you just go ahead and make your way here, then you'll be transported to the Dark World. Okay, now one more check, unless I'm forgetting something, which hopefully I'm not. But I believe this will be my very last check. Is this. So the bomb shop, which is Link's house in the Dark World, if you've completed 2 dungeons that have red crystals, then the big bomb will be available. So there's a couple of tricks that I can show you guys. So the first is typically what happens in most situations in Randomizer. And that is that in most situations, you're not going to defeat Aghanim. So what you do is just gotta go all the way around because you don't have the warping spot. If you haven't defeated Aghanim, then you're not gonna have the warping spot in Hyrule Castle. So you just gotta simply go all the way around like this. And you can't dash while you have the big bomb with you, otherwise you'll drop it. So you just gotta go ahead and just walk all the way around. And then make your way to the pyramid screen. Now, if you do have the warping spot available, then there is a trick that I can show you guys. So, what you want to do is you want to go ahead and buy the bomb. You need 100 rupees, by the way. As soon as you leave, go ahead and tap the dash button. Do not pump at all. Go all the way around. And as soon as the bomb timer hits 0, at the same time that you transition, you'll keep the big bomb. So then what you want to do is you want to go ahead and mirror. And then additionally, another trick that I can show you guys is if you hook shot and then dash while the bomb is trying to catch up to you, then you will not drop the bomb and you'll dash. Now, just like in the waterfall in Zora's Domain, normally you throw items in order to get upgrades, but in Randomizer, you just get 2 chests. So in this case, I get Heart Container and a bottle, and that's it. Okay, so I believe at this point, that's basically every check that I could think of, unless I am missing something, which hopefully I'm not. So, yeah, hopefully you guys learned something, and hopefully by watching this, you get an understanding of how randomizers work if you've been watching my streams. And if you are interested in getting into randomizers, I hope this video helped. And if you want to race me on Randomizer, my Discord server is always available. If you want to, just make sure you get the race roll from #rolls in my server. And I would love to do more Randomizer races, because randos have been pretty fun for me lately. And I want to keep doing more of them. Okay, now, before we conclude the video, I want to show off the Ganon fight with silver arrows, now that we have silver arrows. So, the process is similar to, like, last time, except I'm gonna have gold sword, so... the first and second phase is going to be easier. It takes 6 hits instead of 12 hits with Tempered Sword. So it's much easier to get 1 cycles in these first 2 phases. Okay, this is the 4th phase right here. So if you have silver arrows, Ganon's going to say, "Oh no, silver, my one true weakness." Otherwise, if you don't have silver arrows, then he's going to say, "Oh, did you find silver arrows in this place?" or whatever, so just go ahead and hit him, shoot a silver arrow. Now, whether or not you get torch glitch, if you get torch glitch, then it can be good, but it's not as impactful as if you're doing this fight without silver arrows. But I got silver arrows there, and then when you have silver arrows, if you shoot Ganon away from the edge, then you can get 2 silver arrow hits in. Just like that. And then it takes 4 silver arrows, and then there you go. That's Ganon with silver arrows. Alright, and with that, that is my randomizer tutorial. Like I said, I hope you guys learned something from this video. Hopefully you guys can understand how my thinking process works whenever I do these seeds. And hopefully this can help better you guys' knowledge when it comes to these runs. So if you're interested, good luck. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on whatever the next video may be.